Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for December 6th, 2024. I'm Benji Fisher moderating. Also present are Ralph Kohler, who's sharing their screen, and Aaron McHale. Go ahead, Ralph.
Thanks, Benji. We are looking at issue number 2975863, taxonomy overview list with exposed filter. Basically, if we are looking at a page, at that page in particular, I've created taxonomy. I've already populated it with a few terms. And as you can see, you have the term and then you have the list. You are able to position, you are able to change vertically as well as horizontally, so the level could change. And you're also able, just to keep in mind, you have the option to reset to alphabetical. That is core functionality at the moment, which resets basically the sorting. I quickly check out the branch of the merge request and cleared cache. And now it is basically about adding a filter field. You get a filter button, a reset button, and that's all about it. And yeah, we simply, let's search first about for 6. Press return. And as you can see, you get the matches for 6 and 6, 6. Term reordering, and you get a warning with term reordering has been disabled because terms are being filtered. To enable term reordering, reset the filter. And it has also to be noted on the issue, in the before and after screenshots, there is the following one, open in a new tab. I've also asked right before the meeting quickly on the issue, because the described behavior there is they are showing the non-matches alongside the matches, and the matches visually being highlighted. While in our example here, we have only the matches which are visually highlighted. So I'm not sure what the preferred behavior is for the people working on the issue, but I thought it should be noted. So that's basically the behavior. Before we get to the problems I see, or you see, first, are there any questions?
Could you go back to that screenshot, Ralph, from the issue?
Yep. Yeah, there it is.
Is it maybe doing that because it's showing the hierarchy, like the ones that are highlighted have like parents, so it's just like that's my guess is because they're like indented, it's showing you the parents of the ones that are in it's found. Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe.
Maybe we could try making one a child and then searching for it, see if that happens.
They're already, if you reset here. I missed that. In my previous test before resetting, I had the indented.
Well, don't make it a child of 6. Make it a child of something else.
That way?
Right.
Yeah.
So now if you search for 6, we wouldn't expect 1 to show up unless Aaron's theory is true.
Okay.
Yeah, so it must be because the parent relationship.
Okay. Good point.
All right. So what this issue is doing is adding the filter, and the question is how that should interact with the existing functionality of click and drag to reorder. And I see that along with the handles, those are gone, and also the usual link to show row weights is also gone.
Hmm.
And I wonder, is this causing a page reload every time you filter?
Um, it looks like.
Okay, so I wonder if you have a very long or a vocabulary with a lot of terms in it. Is this going to find all of them, or does it just find the ones on the current page? And if it's doing a full page reload, then it probably does find all of them. Okay, so I think I understand what the issue is doing and how it interacts with uh, the reordering. Um, so then what's the usability issue here?
Uh, One point I would raise is basically consistency-wise, and this is something that is already tackled to a certain degree um, in the following issue. It is issue number 3028968. Create a JavaScript library for searching and filtering rendered lists on the client. Oh, I already opened it. Apologies. Because at the moment it's not consistent. Because if you take a look, for example, on the content page on here, as you can see here, you just have the filter button. And then if we enter VEVE filter, then a reset button is shown. So that is different than there is, for example, if we go to, no, people is not, there's some, I'm blanking.
Extend.
Is it on extend? Yeah, yep. Yeah, there you have basically the clear button pattern, which is a browsers at the moment using the browser component. And there is also another issue, one I've opened. It's issue number 3448920. Add a clear button to the fields UI. So a pattern that is basically introduced by Project Browser, where you get, because at the moment that browser internal clear button is only available in Safari and to a certain degree in Edge, as you can see here in the table. Firefox doesn't have it at all, and therefore you have an inconsistent behavior across browsers. Oops, where is it?
Oh,
Back here.
all right, so the usability question is this filter and reset button, and what should be the correct pattern. And one of the other issues you brought up is something to bring some consistency to this, to have a single JavaScript library that's used in all of these pages.
Yeah, but also how the interface that is presented to the user is uh, which is provided, that should be also consistent because the patterns differ across pages. And that issue about the library is more about the underlying library, to my understanding. Because at the moment you have 3 or 4 different JavaScript libraries for different pages across core, and that is also a problem. But I wanted to highlight another detail. Um, you have basically 2 different reset buttons, and that is also confusing, meaning you have a reset and you have the reset to alphabetical underneath. And technically speaking, if you click that here with a filter active, you see resetting a vocabulary will discard all custom ordering and sort items alphabetically. There's nothing stated in regards of filtering, but if you reset alphabetically, then the filter is also removed.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense to me, but I can see how it might be unexpected.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think the interface copy here should be expanded in case a filter is active.
or another option is that we remove that button just as we remove the handles and the row weights link.
Yeah.
Um, so that this isn't really a form that can be submitted. It's just a list when the filtering is active.
Yep. Great.
Should probably also remove the save button then, because I think that was still there.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's nothing to save really. Oh, it's gone.
But
Oh,
oh, if I
oh,
search for 6, if I search for 7, which has okay.
it's it's probably something to do with if you get the hierarchy list appearing. So my guess is that's a bug in the implementation.
Either that or it's a question of how many things show up.
Yeah.
If only one thing shows up on the list, then we remove the save button.
Oh, maybe. Can we get two things to show up?
1 second, I just check. Let's search for 4.
Yeah. I wonder if that's just the default core taxonomy behavior. If you only have a taxonomy with one thing in it, you don't get any buttons.
Right, because the only thing you can save on this screen is the hierarchy.
Mm, yeah. Probably don't need the buttons.
Yeah.
Also, looking at the issue, I think the reason it was tagged for usability review has something to do with the highlighting. The
Yeah.
filter terms are highlighted like I have some unsaved changes. Don't think the highlight is needed.
Yeah.
I didn't notice a highlight at all.
But there is also then the question if we search for 6 again.
I
How
see
do, pardon?
it, it's highlighting in the status column, isn't it?
Uh, oh, the highlight is across the whole row.
Oh, I don't see that in the Aaron, do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Which, given this, probably suggests it doesn't pass color contrast.
1 second. Yeah, that is one part I wanted to tackle afterwards. Yeah, 1.1 against 1.
Hmm.
And yeah,
And also it doesn't pass that information should never be conveyed by color alone.
yeah.
Yep.
So
And
that's technically accessibility rather than usability, um,
but one detail I also wonder is basically the oral interface. How is basically 6.6 and 6 being communicated in the oral interface? Because
Like
at
for
the
screen readers.
exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that.
In particular, it's important in such a case if you have basically non-matches and matches alongside. And at the moment, we only have a small number of terms, but if you have, let's say, 1,000 terms, a list, and you filter and you get still 50, 60, 70, and a mix of matches and non-matches.
I think that it's important to show the hierarchy in many cases because often you'll have common children. You'll have many parents, and each parent has the same list of children.
Yep. I totally agree that the hierarchy and the level an element has is important, but I just mean how you communicate which of those rows is a match and which is not. That is we could quickly test 1 second. Are you able to hear me still?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Apologies if it's got now a bit verbose, but
Voiceover and color contrast analyzer, color contrast analyzer, CC8 window. Link, skip to main content. Name. Leaving table, 6, insertion at beginning of text, filter, reset, enter in table. Link, 1, table, 4 column, 4 rows. Status, published, column 2 of 4. Operations, link, edit 1, column 3 of 4. List additional actions, button. Row 3 of 4 name, group, column 1 of 4. Link, 6. Status, published, column 2 of 4. Operations, link, edit 6, column 3 of 4. List additional actions, button. Row 4 of 4 name, link, 6, column 1 of 4. Voiceover off.
To me, it looks like it is not communicated in any way in the audio interface.
Right. Okay, so clearly all of those have to be resolved. Do we need the highlighting at all? Do we need to distinguish things that are there because they match from things that are there because we need to show the hierarchy?
It's probably, I would say, probably useful to show that. I'm just not sure the best way to do it. Maybe some kind of like visually, maybe some kind of outline around the highlighted cells. Like I'm thinking of, for instance, a dotted lines are quite common for like when you have something selected. Um, you know, thinking back to older versions of Windows, for example, like a dotted line was quite commonly used as a way of indicating the item that has a selection. And as we can see here, like there's on that link that Ralph was selected, there's a greens-ish kind of outline around it. So possibly
That's the focus.
Yeah, the focus. So some kind of like line or something that stands out for each one, perhaps. But I don't know. I don't know what the best way for doing that for like screen readers would be, because we probably just need to have some information embedded with each one that says this one has been identified. But then you also need to communicate somehow these are the ones that are here just because they're the parents, and these were found. So yeah, I'm not sure.
One for screen readers, one option might be simply appending a suffix to the name as a visually hidden span, maybe with something like match, or I don't know.
I mean, I'm thinking not even visually hidden, but actually put in a word like match, or possibly an icon with visually hidden text, and then have a key at the bottom saying this icon means it's here because it's a match, and this other icon means it's here because of hierarchy. Perhaps even adding another column for that information.
Would it make sense to basically replace at the position you have the drag handle usually, and if you filter, instead of moving the terms to the left, keep basically the position of the name it had on here and replace basically the drag handle with its, the icon you've just suggested.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Instead of removing the icon, replace it with something that indicates why this row is shown.
Yeah. And about Aaron's point, is it then still necessary to have some sort of outline or background color if you have basically such a icon at the beginning of a row?
As long as there's something there that clearly indicates to the user these are the ones that were found. I mean, my other thought was, what if we invert the thinking so that the ones that are there that are just part of the hierarchy because they're there are somehow de-emphasized, but then that gets I can't think of a good way to do that that's also accessible. So I think the only thing we can do is to emphasize ones that were found. So yeah, some kind of as you said, icon or yeah.
Yeah, I think different icons, especially if they're different colors, would provide enough of a visual cue. And if there are text alternatives for the icons, I think that'll provide a good cue for the spoken interface.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to highlight the row.
Just one question. Do you think it would be necessary to also have a different icon for non-matches? Or would it be already sufficient to have a single icon for each row that is a match?
I'm not sure. I guess I kind of like the idea of having two different icons, but I don't feel strongly about that. Oh, and I see that Simo Helston has joined us. Hi, Simo.
Hi.
We are looking at the following issue, Simo. I posted in the chat.
You could maybe make the argument that having that having an icon and not having an icon is more visually distinct than two icons that look slightly different to each other.
Yeah. But having a second icon would at least provide the opportunity to also provide some context in the oral interface that this is not a match.
I think you could still do that without an icon though. Because I think you do need that context for screen readers, but Like I think visually, if you've got a big list of things returned and visually, and you're scanning, it's probably easier to see if something has, if you're just looking for the things with the big icon.
Yeah.
You don't have to then also work out, okay, which icon is it I'm looking at?
Yeah.
The question is what is that icon? And I have no idea. First, I was thinking about a tick, but that doesn't feel like the right icon. And I don't know.
By tick, do you mean a check mark?
Yes.
Maybe some sort of bullseye icon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that too, actually. Yeah, that could work. Like a dartboard, the dart in the middle, something that I could never reach. Usually when I throw darts, they hit the wall. And once a light. Once a dart ricocheted off the wall and almost hit somebody else.
Ooh.
Aaron, we will forgive you because you warned us at the start that you've got a flu. Um, okay, I'm wondering whether we can wrap up at this point. So we definitely want to hide the main form buttons at the bottom anytime the filter is active. Um, it would be nice to have some consistency in the filter widget and either follow the model of the extend page or what was the other place where we,
Admin content.
thank you, admin content. Um, and we should remove this current highlighting and replace it with probably an icon to indicate those that are matching or possibly two different icons. I don't think we should make a firm recommendation, just a suggestion on that point because they might come up with some alternatives we haven't thought of.
Yeah.
Does that summarize it?
There is anything like that? Think so.
Are we ready to move on, or is there more to say on this issue?
One last thing in regards of that warning, should it be presented that way or communicated in a different way?
So where it is, it has the advantage that it's close to the filter widget and it's also close to the table. So I like the positioning. How else might you present that information?
At the moment, it just feels in combination with the visual highlighting here that those are, if the first association is those two rows are basically errors or something wrong with them instead of the warning refers to the entire list. And therefore, it's sort of triggering and misleading. Basically the context, but still it feels odd. But on other pages, I don't remember that we have a similar warning. And in the filter issue on the block layout page, on that merge request, there's also no warning in that regard.
Well, I don't think the other pages need the warning, do they? You can still submit the extend form and enable a bunch of modules. You can still do bulk operations, can't you? Even if you're filtering.
Yeah. I'm filtering currently for the
Right.
single node available, but
Right. So it's really something specific to this use case that that the reordering is disabled because it doesn't make sense to reorder when you're looking at only a subset.
yeah. Yeah, well, maybe it's okay.
I'm not really sure warning is the right pattern here because it's we tend to obviously not use warnings for things that are going to always appear, because then it's really, we want to use warnings and errors for things that you actually need to pay attention to. Whereas this could, once you know this, you're going to just, you know, visually, you're going to not pay attention to this. So I don't know. I feel like a warning message isn't really the most appropriate pattern here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it should be an info rather than a warning.
Yeah.
I agree.
Also, I don't know, how do we feel about the wording? That would be another thing I was wondering.
Um, Instead of has been, maybe is disabled.
And could being also be removed because terms are filtered?
I think so. Less is more.
Yeah. And would it make sense to, instead of enable, to re-enable term reordering?
Um, I think it's fine as it is.
Okay.
How about making it really short? Just information reordering is disabled, and then put the rest in some help text or description text, help text.
Um, why why would that be an advantage? It forces us to have an extra click or some sort of interaction in order to see the full text.
So it would just explain the status and not give another information on how to change the status on the status message. So it would kind of doing just one thing.
Well, I think it's useful to have full message, both parts, what the current state is, how to change it. I think it's simpler to have both of those visible, but Aaron, Ralph, do you have an opinion on this?
I don't know, I was noodling away in the chat just there. Um,
Suggesting while instead of because,
yeah,
and that there's a subtle difference there. You're sort of emphasizing that it's a temporary condition.
yes.
And then I guess similarly, you could say reset the filter to enable term reordering with the sort of front loading the action rather than
Yeah.
I mean, do we even need to state that? It's, I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're the one who's applied the filter.
I think more than 9 times out of 10. I don't even know. Does the filter show up in the URL? Maybe it does.
No, it does not.
Oh, well then I don't see any way to get filtering unless you've applied it.
You mean people don't mess with your computer behind your back? Happens to me all the time. Yeah, so we probably don't like, probably just stating that it's being disabled is probably enough.
I could go with that. Simo, what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's better, and having it on separate line is obviously better. So it just have one description about what the status is. Maybe I would like to first state that it's disabled and then explain it maybe in another sentence, but I don't know if it's better. But at least having that separate, that one with about how to re-enable it as a separate one.
Okay, but Aaron is suggesting that we don't even need the second sentence at all because um, the reset button is right there.
Aaron's suggestion would basically be simply that. And the other suggestion would be with frontal. Oh,
Yeah, so it's shorter is without it it's even better. Yes.
Or do we need the first word term? How about just reordering is disabled while terms are filtered?
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, why have the word term in the sentence twice when you can have it only once?
What other words can we get rid of?
but with Aaron's suggestion, we don't have reordering twice. We would have only once. We only have it once.
Right, it's the word term that we had twice until you deleted it
Try. Yeah,
a moment ago.
true.
I mean, I guess some people would say you don't need the verbs here, reordering disabled while terms filtered, but I I would like to keep the verbs.
Yep.
Reordering disabled, terms filtered. There's a nice ring to it, if you ask me. Imagine if all our error messages were like that.
Okay, so we should use this shorter text, make it an info rather than warning. Should we also explain the icons?
The icons.
The icons that we want to use to indicate matches versus things that are there only because of hierarchy.
I think in regards of the icons, the bullseye was probably the suggestion, or just a dot, something like that, with a ARIA label.
Right, but I also suggested that we have a key to explain the icons. Or
Oh,
do you think?
you mean at the end, or on top of the list?
Well, that's another question. Should it be should the key go at the bottom, or we have this convenient info message here? Should we add the key here? You know,
Oh.
something like I icon indicates matching terms. Um, um, term parents are also shown. Because the first thing I thought of was sort of awkward. Other rows are there to indicate the hierarchy, but I think this is better. Parents of matching terms are also shown.
Yeah, it was something I. Should it be plural? Icons indicate matching terms?
Oh, I was thinking of just putting the actual icon in there rather than the word icon.
Oh,
So
then
maybe indicate that by, yeah.
and if we have an info message, then should there be a new line or even a?
I think so.
But that way, the problem I see is that info messages become pretty high vertically.
Many admin themes give you an option to dismiss status messages.
But in Claro, that's not the case.
I think that's a Jin thing. Maybe I mean, I don't know if it has to be in the status message. That feels more like I guess what I'm thinking about, there's two different things here. There's that we'd be putting in this message. One of those things communicates a current sort of environmental factor that is like the list is being filtered, and so some things are not available that usually are, as in ordering. And this is more a feature of what you see in the list right now in the filtered list. So part of me feels like this should be almost like a caption on the table. I think that's an element. Um
Yeah, that it could certainly go at the bottom of the table. I
well,
don't want to prescribe a particular element to use, but the
yeah.
placement.
I mean, the top is probably better because if you've got a really long, if you've still got a lot of things there, it's probably better to know about, to understand this before you're scanning. But I'm just saying, like, it could be, it it could be like visually more attached to the table rather, so it looks like this information is part of the table, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
Um, just one word. Instead of using even an info message, would it make sense? Because all those things apply to that page. Would it make sense to move it everything into that help text up there and to make it visible all the time?
Oh yeah, I forgot that was there.
But on the other hand, there's always then the danger, yeah, that yeah, people don't notice or even read or gloss over that text and that way miss those details. So yeah, it has downsides as well.
Oh, can I ask, sorry for being late, but did you decide that it's better to highlight the ones that match filter or somehow mark those that are only there because they are parents? Because a lot of taxonomies don't have hierarchies, so just adds information there, or is it just additional information to show that this field is? Did
Well,
you talk about that?
we did discuss that the highlighting is problematic, and we're recommending using an icon to indicate terms that match. Like we did not consider that this is uninteresting information when there's no hierarchy. So I guess one option would be, instead of any sort of status message, would be to add it to the existing text at the top of the table. And right there where it says that you can reorder them might be the right place to say, oh, but sometimes you can't.
I mean, I think we definitely could. The the downside with putting it there, and this is perfectly illustrated when I blurted out, "Oh, I didn't even notice that," is the fact that we've got so like the priority of elements on this page is that you've got, when you look down, you've got that giant blue button that's very visible. Then you've got the giant filter box with its buttons. Then you've got the giant message and then the table. So it's really easy to like completely visually miss the help text that's already there.
Right. There are a bunch of things that are calling out for your attention.
Yeah.
So on the
So
other hand, moving the text to the top would remove one of the things that's trying to get your attention.
yeah.
So as we feared, this very short issue has taken up most of the hour. We have about 5 minutes left. Um, so shall we, yeah, leave it as something to be decided whether to combine the two, or keep the existing status message and convert it to info?
Or we might place it for discussion on the issue and present both options. Either go convert that one to an info and add reordering is disabled while terms are filtered, and icons indicates matching terms, parents of matching terms are also shown as an info, or the other option, move those 2 sentences or 3 sentences up to the help text as the other option. That would reduce the affordance because you have only the add term and the filter and the list then, and you might even get to at least 2-line help text, and that way it might be more read-worthy or skim-worthy. And yeah, let's see what others think on the issue itself.
Yeah, I thought we had consensus that the explanation of the icon should be at the bottom of the table.
Oh, and at the bottom. Oh, apologies.
Well, I'd suggested it should be at the top because if you got a
Oh.
if you got a lot of results, then it's the last thing you're going to come across, or you might want to know that information before you start going to the table. But I really don't have a strong preference because also quite common to find these kind of keys at the bottom of charts or tables or other things. So there is also precedent for putting it at the bottom.
Yeah, I kind of think it belongs at the bottom. Simo, Ralph? But yeah, when I say that we leave things undecided, yes, I mean we should encourage further discussion on the issue. Go ahead, Simo.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to me to have it in the beginning. So if there is a lot of things filtered.
So that
Is
you
it
can
possible?
see the key without scrolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I sort of agree as well, even though it might have the same problem like the help text currently has before the filter. It could be also the case that people might gloss over it. So, but it's the same problem is at the end of the list the same as well. So technically, yeah, it would be the better thing to provide the legend and the information before you get to the processing that information is relevant for.
Yeah, I think having a separate line starting with the icon will be enough of a visual clue that people won't miss it.
True.
For non-visual users, I think it's less important because non-visual users will see the text alternative to the icon.
And non-visual users will also have, yeah, the ARIA label for that icon on the list itself several times each
Right.
time.
That's what I meant by the text alternatives.
Yeah.
I think once all the changes have been implemented, somebody should check that the list of terms, so that the tables, the actual content starts above the fold, so that at least if having the what's the legend? No, what's it called? Above the table, so that none of the terms actually appear above the fold, then it should be changed to bottom, so that the user can see the first terms on the first page in the browser. So that's something that I think should be tested.
Okay, and that'll take pretty extensive testing because you'll have to check various zoom levels and browser sizes. But we are at the
Well,
end of
you
the
just
hour.
need to test the smallest one.
Okay. We are at the end of the hour, so I think we'll have to call it there. Ralph, I see you've been taking notes. Can you leave the
Yeah,
comment?
I can do. But just one quick question. So the consensus now is that that one here, either in an info or move it to the help text. Leave those two options to the people on the issue, and
Yes.
move that thing between filter and list, where currently the info is. Or what should be the case if people go with the info message? Should that label then, that line here, should it be between the info and the list, or between the filter and the other? I think it should be after the info message in case, isn't it?
Yes, it should be directly
Between those two here.
it should be directly above or below the table.
Yeah. The last item before or after the table. It should be that. Okay, exactly. Okay, then it's clear. Good. Thank you.
Great. Thanks all. Do it again next week.
Yep. Have a nice
Thanks,
weekend.
bye.
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 Bye.